the picture that shows him as a little kid and he looks all happy. But then there's other pictures of him in his hoodie. He has the weapon. He's holding up cash. Very different side to him. Now, the video was released, and the police officers, they had body cams on them, and they recorded the whole thing. Now, the police officer, which was a woman, she thought she reached for her taser, but she actually picked up her pistol. And she shouted, "I'll tase you, I'll tase you, taser, taser, taser." And then she fired, and she realized it was her actual weapon, her pistol, and she shot Daunte. Was this a incident where this had to do with race? No. He was being stopped, and he was being arrested, and his hands were being put behind his back, and he tried to escape. And this is how this all started. But remember, the mainstream media, the corrupt politicians, BLM and the rest were saying we have to defund the police, defund the police. What happens when you defund the police? Well, when you cut the funding to the police, you put less trained officers on the street, and you end up with situations like this. This is what happens. So basically, they're the ones who caused all of this. Now, we can see that the people, they don't care about how this really went down or what happened. They started to riot. They started to loot. We can see that the National Guard now is being brought out into the open. And we know that Biden is out there saying that we don't need to riot. This was a mistake. And like I said from the very beginning, this is not about Biden. He doesn't have control over these individuals. The invisible enemy does. The invisible enemy has a different agenda. And their agenda is basically taking over the country, destroying the Constitution. Remember, it's infiltration from within. And how do they do that? Well, I want to refer back to post 4635. This is September 8th, 2020. And it says the following: irregular warfare, tactics deployed versus America. Compare and contrast then versus now. Then, methods of violent intimidation deployed by SA. This is the Nazi organization. Now, methods of violent intimidation deployed by Antifa. Then, battles rage in the streets, book burning, flag burning, destruction, hate, anti-police, etc. Now, battles raging in the street controlled by D Party sympathizers, anti-republic. Then, physical assaults of political opponents. Now, physical assaults of political opponents. Then, voter intimidation in national and local elections. Now, voter intimidation in national and local elections. Then, project anti-fascist platforms, reality, conform, obey, strong-arm tactics deployed to silence opposing views. Now, project anti-fascist platforms, reality, conform, obey, strong-arm tactics deployed to silence opposing views. Then, radical anti-capitalistic platform, socialism. Now, radical anti-capitalistic platform, socialism, push. Then, force economic destruction as recruiting division tactic to drive enlistment rate. Now, D Party government mayor, closed state, force economic hardship, C-19. Then, SA carried out unchecked street violence against Jews and Nazi opponents. Now, D governor mayors carried out unchecked deliberate non-prosecution orders, 24-hour releases of Antifa rioters arrested, street violence, block by block takeovers. Basically, you can see the same thing happening. These are the same exact people. There's no difference. And they're using the same exact tactics. I also want to go back to post 4654. This is July 10th, 2020. And Anon put up an article and it says, and in 1933, and there's a picture of Hitler, and it says, defund and eliminate police departments so that they would not interfere with his brown shirts, whose mission it was to riot, burn, beat up, and kill citizens in an effort to sway the elections. Down below, it says, well done, Midnight Rider. What are we seeing today? The same exact thing, no difference. But the National Guard has been called out in Minneapolis, trying to keep everything tapped down. We'll see how that goes. But we know the invisible enemy, they're going to be pushing their agenda. And this is not the first time. Anything that comes up now, they're going to try to use. Just like with the mass shootings, and I believe there was another shooter today in a school. They were locked down. Remember, Yes, Biden has his executive orders, but he's still trying to push the gun legislation through Congress. And sooner or later, when it doesn't work, he's just going to use the executive orders. And then the invisible enemy is going to push him hard to do other things. And it's going to be more and more and more. And people are going to see who the true enemy is. Now, what's very interesting is, like I said in the beginning, we're starting to see some of these individuals. CEOs from several top 100 corporations joined the first of its kind call this weekend to discuss how to respond to proposed changes in state voting laws. So think about it. 100 corporations are telling the legislators who are elected by the people of that state on how the laws should be written. Does that make any sense? No, that's fascism, corporatism. Remember, 70% of Americans, including black Americans, support voter ID. So what does this mean? This means that they're pushing their agenda. Actually, Josh Hawley put this out on Twitter. Oligarchy defined. The most powerful corporations in America get together to plan how to control legislation in dozens of states. So if they're pushing this with elections, what's next? Does that mean they're just going to stop? No, because if they get the state to reverse this, that means they're going to continue. They're going to push the states to do other things. For example, gun laws, immigration laws, abortion laws, education laws. Soon, the corporations, the boardrooms, the non-elected individuals, they'll be calling the shots. Trump is letting the people see this. Are you okay with corporations getting together? Are you okay with them telling the legislators, the people that the people elected, who are supposed to write the laws for the people to benefit the people, are you okay with the corporations telling them what to do? See, he just brought them out of the shadows and into the light. Now, very interestingly, Mike Pompeo, he tweeted out the following. As a proponent of freedom, enjoying some Taiwanese dried pineapple, checkmate. Now, yes, he did mention Taiwanese dried apple. He's sitting in front of a chessboard. Very interesting. And we have a couple of decodes here. This is from CJ Truth. He put this out on Telegram. Shows the chessboard, shows the knight on D5, which is avalanche. And it seems that they are trapped. Checkmate. And if we go back to post 4241, this is on May 14, 2020. Down below, it says the following. It says, worth remembering, think chess. Do you attack the king in the beginning or middle to end? Queen protects king. Then if we go to post 4281, this is May 19, 2020. It says, how about a nice game of chess? Then gives us a link to the chess world. It says, objective, end, checkmate king. Do you attack the king at the beginning of the game? Do you attack and remove pawns first? Do you attack and remove bishops, rooks, knights next? Do you attack and remove queen mid to end? Is the game being played public or private? Do emotions affect critical thinking? Yes. Add important king control pieces, eliminate rogue elements. Add how do you set the stage, board, public opinion, optics. At this time, how do you do that? You must show the people. You must get the invisible enemy to show themselves to the public. You need to drag them out of the shadows and bring them into the light so the public can see them and understand who they are and what their true agenda is. Now, like I said in the beginning, Trump, he told us the plan. He told us all about the elections. Actually, he tweeted out multiple times about absentee ballots, about the Dominion machines, about how they're going to cheat. But I want everyone to listen to what he said here. He said all these different things about the election, about election integrity, and listen very carefully. Is this what is happening now? Did he set them up? I do believe he did.
To show you 25 faulty or fraudulent votes, which don't mean anything because it doesn't overturn the state, or 50 or 100. We're showing you hundreds of thousands, far more than we need, far more than the margin, far more than the law requires. We can show many times what is necessary to win the state. Many very smart people have congratulated me on all we've done. The biggest tax cuts in history, regulation cuts, the biggest in history. We rebuilt our military. We took care of our vets like never before. Space Force and so much